Hey guys, Outdoor Enthusiast 88 here. What we're going to do today is we're going to actually try to clean all the Cosmoline off of this new surplus Chinese Type 56 SKS. The process, there's several different ways to do it. What we're going to do today is we're going to fill this bucket up here with some hot water as well as some green cleaning solution. A lot of people mentioned simple green. This is actually a generic green works. The main thing is you don't want any harsh chemicals because stuff that is vinegar based sometimes can actually mess up the bluing on all your metal parts, and you don't want that to happen. So definitely get something green, some kind of all natural cleaner basically. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go get the water. I'm going to get some water in here. I'd already taken apart all the parts that I needed to take apart. The only thing that's not going to fit in the bucket is going to be the barrel, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do that last, and as we clean the little ones out and wipe them down, we're going to try to clean this one out as well, just kind of little by little. There's not a lot of Cosmoline, especially in the barrel. There's not a lot, but there's a lot of Cosmoline stuck in all the little pieces, especially the trigger group, the actual the bolt and the firing pin kind of formation there is all real stuck in there, if you can see that. So I definitely want to get that cleaned up, and then of course we're going to grease and oil everything after that. So let me get the water going, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we got the water. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take some of this cleaning solution here. Just going to kind of pour some in there. You're also going to need a toothbrush because you're going to want to scrub all the pieces up. Basically, you're just going to take your pieces, just lay them in there. Obviously, this water is very, very hot, so which is good though. You need that for melting all the Cosmoline off. Now, be careful when you actually take apart the bayonet, because the lug on here is spring assisted, and that spring will shoot across the room, so you got to hold on to the bayonet for sure. Actually, the best way to clean, for instance, this right here is going to be just kind of, because you got a lot of stuff built up in there. You're going to probably want to take a kind of a pitcher and just kind of pour it in there, try to clean it out, try to avoid getting it on the wood. But the other thing about the wood is you can actually, the best way to get it, if you don't want this kind of wood, especially the stock, to be completely, no Cosmoline whatsoever, as you fire it, it's going to sweat, and it's going to sweat all the Cosmoline off. So especially on a hot summer day, just kind of leave this out in the sun, it's going to sweat it off. The other option is you can actually put it over the steam from the hot water. But the problem with that is you just want to do it for a very little bit at a time, because the steam will definitely hurt the wood if you leave it on there too long. But what it's going to do is going to help loosen it up a little bit, and you can kind of take a rag to it, clean it off. But as you shoot this, it's going to clean up pretty well. There's other methods too. You can take a green oven cleaner and just kind of spray it down and really clean it up. But I'm actually not going to do that right now because I actually don't have any. Plus, I think I kind of like the way it looks right now. And it's not too oily. It's mainly the interior components that are pretty bad. So let this sit for a bit. Kind of get it up there. You can actually see a lot of the globs kind of forming right there already. So yeah, just give it about maybe 5-10 minutes, and we'll see what it looks like. So this is setting. What I'm going to do is actually I just thought of that if you want to get all that gunk out of the actual gas tube, you can actually go take a little Pyrex pitcher, just pour a funnel down there, trying to melt up and break up some of that Cosmoline. You can actually already see a lot of that crap sticking to the Pyrex from in there. Oh yeah, that worked great. Look at that. That's awesome. Of course, we're going to dry off the wood, an old rag. And you're going to probably want to run a cleaning rod through here, as well as, you know, the barrel and all that. And definitely, you know, get all that gunk out of there. So I think a lot of this is working its magic. Just going to go and wipe it all down. Set it aside. Keep all that stirred in there. And I can start doing is, I could have broken this down more, but I decided to, you know, save the time doing that. But I will definitely start, you know, pouring some of this hot water while it's still nice and hot. Kind of show you guys what I'm doing. It's melting all the cosmoline off, and you can actually start to see it build the brownish water there. And I'm just going to go and kind of melt it all as much as I can on the barrel. Around there. And for the actual barrel, you're going to pour it straight down. And the hot water and the cleaner almost instantaneously remove this stuff. It's actually really good. It definitely gives it a nice, clean, less greasy feel to it. Everything's really nice and warm there. Show you the back end here. Obviously, lay a towel down if you're, you know, working on a bench, or right now I'm using a countertop. So let the stuff sit for a little bit longer, and then let's see what we can do to make sure all the cosmoline's off and scrub it with a toothbrush. Alright guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm actually just making sure that, you know, all the gas ports are cleaned out of cosmoline, make sure it's anything that's kind of nooks and crannies is cleaned out. It's okay to leave the metal parts in the water for a little while. The most important part is making sure when you pull them out that you make sure they're dry. Now I don't have an air compressor, but that's the best method to actually do that, is to compress with air, make sure that they're all cleaned out nicely. But otherwise, just use a towel, just kind of clean them down, let them dry. I did the same thing with Mosin and Nagant, didn't have any problem, no rust or anything like that. So what I can do is I can set this aside, let some of this water out. Alright, all cleaned up here. They look pretty good. All nasty water coming out of there. So of course, these all being metal parts, they're going to be really, really hot. So be careful when you pull these out. What I did actually was I went and you know, wipe this down as much as I can. I dumped some more water down there. It looks really clean. It needs to be cleaned up with some nice oil, and probably put a cleaning rod right through there. Just kind of scrub it out a little better, just make sure there's no other gunk sticking to the sides. But this worked out great, no problem with the wood or anything. I went and I left this on the to steam a little bit and put the end to steam a little bit, and it turned out great. I mean, that wood is not slimy anymore at all, and even on the inside here, it's it's bubbling up. But once you start shooting this rifle, you'll see that it's gonna all just kind of start dripping away. So after a few hundred rounds, you'll probably have no cosmoline whatsoever left in here. And the same thing happened when I was in Nagant. When I shot it, and now there's nothing left for cosmoline in the stock. I did notice that my cleaning rod was the only rusty part. It has some pitting going on there. The threads actually are rusted over a little bit, but the barrel looks pretty good. Looks pretty nice, kind of dried. What I want to do is probably wipe it down. Might grab maybe like a hair dryer or something, just kind of blow out the actual barrel itself. You don't want to leave that to chance. You have a nice chrome line in there. So it looks good. I'll probably clean this whole gun right after this with some nice stuff, nice oil and good rags. So see what it did was it brought all the cosmoline off. So what you can do now is you can go and wipe it down. It might take a little bit, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe down all of these, and then we'll see how they all look. Alright guys, so everything is cleaned and dried off nicely. Everything worked out really well. I will make a note that I will have to completely disassemble this, because this is a big problem with slam fires. You have to go ahead and make sure that the bolt is in the firing pin is not stuck, because it should be rattling back and forth, and as you can tell, it does not do that. So just the old boiling and minerals won't clean all that out. You're going to have to go in there on your own, clean it out. I'll probably make another video, so keep an eye out for that. I'll make a video on how to take this apart and what it looks like covered in cosmoline, and how we can clean it up with some nice oil and elbow grease. Now, everything else turned out really well. I was actually really surprised of how clean this bayonet came out. This was all yellowed, and look at that. It's almost brand new there. I like it. A couple of spots that were kind of surprisingly messy were the bayonet, actual bayonet part, the actual lug for it, was caked in actual grease, not just cosmoline, like black grease, along with the spring and the screw. And that was kind of annoying because it was actually caked on the inside of here. And that was just a pain to kind of clean up. So if you take that off, be careful, that know what you're getting into. Obviously I told you about the spring that freaking flies across the room if you don't hold it down tight. It's a very powerful spring. So, well guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this all back together. Everything's dried off. I went and I blew the barrel through, making sure that I don't think there's no water droplets. The big thing is, make sure it dries down. Don't put a gun away wet, because that is a big deal with rust. I mean, a little bit of water in here and there is fine as long as you dry it off. So everything else worked out great. The wood feels awesome now. It doesn't feel as greasy as it did. The stock, looks great now. So I'm hoping that after shooting it for a bit, any other remaining cosmoline will start melting off. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and keep an eye out for disassembling the bolt carrier there and making sure that the whole assembly is cleaned out before you shoot it for the first time. Alright guys, I'm going to put this back together, and I'll also have a video up for how to assemble or disassemble and assemble this, so keep an eye out for that as well. Thanks guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and definitely like my video and subscribe if you want. Thanks guys. Bye.